What is bird dogging? Bird dogging is essentially connecting a buyer to a deal, right? Me, the buyer, you're connecting a deal to me to then save my time to then be the one to have to go find that deal. That is very loose in the sense of sometimes there's a seller and there's a buyer. Sometimes the seller has an agent, sometimes they don't. Sometimes a wholesaler is working with the agent, sometimes they're not, right? But we need to get the deal from a seller to a buyer. And a lot of the times, what you are doing as a bird dog is you're either working with the seller, the agent, or a wholesaler to then connect that deal to the buyer. However, with bird dogging, you're starting with the buyer in mind. So what a wholesaler does is they go and directly work with sellers or agents. And what they do is they are putting these deals under contract and trying to sell them to a buyer that they think would make sense for it. So they put a property under contract, a buy and hold property will say, they say, hey, buyers, who's interested in this deal? Where a bird dog, instead of starting with a seller first, you're starting with the buyer first. You're saying, hey, buyer, I know you want to buy and own properties like this. Let me go and find these for you to save you some time. So let me show you what that looks like for me and my buy and hold portfolio. What is my buy box for bird dogs and how much do you pay? And then I'll reverse engineer back into this. So if you go onto my Instagram, you go into the link tree down below, right? Go to the link tree, you click my buy box and free tools. That's how you find my buy box. You click the link and it shows you the link tree and you go to my buy box and free tools, click that. And this is what it leads you to, my actual buy box. Hey, I'm Michael Matskein, Army veteran turned real estate investor with over $22 million in real estate in less than 5 years. I specialize in creative financing, co-living, and providing great returns for my money partners. So with there, I got a bunch of links, the free wealth, the real estate school community, Instagram, YouTube, it's all linked there. Nice. We got both my coast to coast vets, which is my real estate, my buy and hold business, which owns the majority of my real estate portfolio, my super investors community, owners club, which I'm a proud member of, first member to join, first member to renew with my mentor, Pace Morby, as well as Sub 2, where I learned the majority of my creative financing and capital raising knowledge came from Sub 2. The difference with super investors is I basically take everything I've learned, all the action I've taken. Not all of it was perfect, right? Rarely is perfect action the way you succeed. It primarily comes through imperfect action, learning and improving. Took all that, condensed it so that what I've been able to do in less than 5 years, people can do in a tiny fraction of that time and with way less headache than I had to do it my go around. And so if I was able to do $22 million in buy and hold real estate and come find you free in less than 5 years, well, I'm really excited for all my super investors to see what they're doing in the next 1 to 3 years and where they're at in their real estate investing portfolio. You can get my free creative finance calculator in here. Just drop your email in here. It'll link you into the wealth of real estate community, as well as get you a free copy of this calculator and my buy box. My buy box is very loose compared to the most. I am primarily buying properties that are in pad split markets. I primarily only buy co-living rentals. So to be a good co-living rental, it needs to be at least 3-bed, 2-bath, and a minimum of 1,500 square feet. If it is at least that size, I know there is a potential to convert that property, convert the living rooms, the garage, the dining room, the office, whatever, to then potentially be a good co-living property. I don't like to buy co-living rentals that have less than 6 bedrooms. So if we're starting with a foundation of 3x2, 1,500 square feet, I know there's at least some potential to get it as a co-living rental. So one of the first things you can filter on is the size of the property. If it's too small, it doesn't make sense. Fortunately for you, most people that are buying properties for long-term rentals, they want the smaller properties because the small properties in random little markets tend to be the best long-term rentals. Those cheap properties, smaller, cheaper properties tend to be the best long-term rentals. That's not always the case, creative financing or not. It's not always the case for larger properties, but those are the best for really great co-living rentals. Well, actually, I'm only exclusively buying creatively financed deals, and I don't want HOAs. Everything else is preferred. Get me a property that's big enough size, creatively financed, no HOA. Then what I prefer is these are in major markets. There's minimal renovations. These are single family homes with low entry. The lower the entry, the better. The lower the entry rate, the better. But if it's not a low entry rate, but it's a great deal, awesome. It's not a very low entry, but it's a great deal, awesome. Let's see what this means. So if I'm buying properties that are primarily co-living rentals, let's see what it looks like. Let me pull up Pad Split's market. Let me share with you. If you are not on Pad Split, you are massively missing out because Pad Split gives you all the information on where is Pad Split market. Well, let's start with what is Pad Split. Pad Split is the equivalent of what Airbnb is for short-term rentals. It is a platform for people who own co-living rentals to post them on there and then get them rented out. That's where the rent collection gets done. The tenant screening gets done. Communications with your tenants are done through the Pad Split platform. If you just use this link, you will get free access to all the same data. You literally pay nothing to Pad Split unless you're managing a property on their platform. You basically pay them like you would a property manager. That doesn't mean anything if you don't have any properties on there, and you don't even have to run your properties on there. Just by signing up through them, you get all this data, and I will show you. It literally tells you where are they operating. As you can tell, almost exclusively every single market that they're operating in are bigger cities. I prefer Southeast states, and I'll make sure to incorporate that in there. I'll hit some of my key states. Southeast states, these are my core markets. We have some in Texas now, as well as Arizona. I do own in California, but this is not necessarily where I'm focused on. This is a whole different play for me. It's more of my wealth, not necessarily my cash flow. It's not what makes me financially free. But if you go on here, you can quite literally see where are their markets. You can literally see where are their core markets. And not only can you see that, if you just click any of these, it'll say how many active units they have, how many are upcoming. So how many of these co-living rentals do they have by the room? How many are coming up? How many people have searched in the last 30 days? These are the tenants. How many tenants have searched in the last 30 days for a co-living rental? What the shared bathroom rate is, what the private bathroom rate is, right? Because it's a different price. If they're sharing a bathroom with someone or if they have their own private bathroom, what the different price is. How full are these properties? 8 days to first booking, all this stuff. You don't really have to worry about this too much. I have trainings on how to analyze, but if you want to understand where are these core markets and you want to choose markets like this, right? If we go back to the buy box and you know someone's looking for co-living, well, I'm looking for 3-bed, 2-bath, minimum, 1,500 square foot minimum properties, creatively financed deals, no HOA, and I'm looking to be in major markets or these pad split markets. So I'll update this. It'll say literally pad split core markets. Well, all you have to do is then search the map of pad split and see which ones are core markets. This is it, right? And the reason why mine is so loose is because it's not just me, right? I mentioned I have a ton of real estate. I'm buying more, right? However, I also have a community of 70 plus other buy and hold real estate investors that also specialize in co-living or rent by the room strategy. Well, there may be a deal that does not make sense for me or for my market. However, it can make sense for another super investor. Well, the advantage there is even if it's not the deal for me, I can connect that to someone in the community and then still get you paid on those deals as a bird dog by filling in deals that fit within this buy box. So that is the difference between what a bird dog does, where a wholesaler is starting with the seller in mind and saying, okay, this is the deal. I put it under contract. This is what I want to sell, right? This is what I want to do. So this is what a wholesaler does. Let me open up this deals database that we have in Super Investors just to show you. So a wholesaler will be the one to put these types of properties under contract. They'll go find this property in Port Charlotte, Florida and say, okay, we can buy it for $353,000. We can pay you $55,000 entry. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. They put the deal under contract and they say, okay, buyers, which buyers want to buy these deals, right? What a bird dog would then go do is say, okay, well, there's these deals under contract. You can go directly to sellers. I don't necessarily recommend that, especially when you're starting out, because now you're learning wholesaling, negotiations, all that stuff, in addition to trying to get these deals to buyers. What you can do is just go find deals that are already under contract. I don't think I can share some of the communities I'm part of. I don't think I could just share what they have. But like if you're in a sub 2 or the free creative real estate community with Pace Morby, my mentor, people are posting deals all the time. This is just a small subsect of those deals where you can go and look at these deals and then see, does this make sense for someone that I know? So Port Charlotte, Florida, 3-bed, 2-bath, $54,999, right? So it's not under 50K, but it's pretty close. Interest rate is under 5%. It's definitely under 5%. It's 3-bed, 2-bath. We click on it. No HOA, great. It's a low payment, which is great. So there's seller financing at 0%, awesome. And the sub 2 loan at 3.75%, awesome. And it's over 1,500 square feet. Great. That is perfect. This is exactly what you would do. You would say, hey, Michael, do you want to buy this deal? I found this deal. Do you want to buy this deal? So why would I pay you? Why would I pay you when I can do this myself? Well, when you have a really big portfolio with 50 plus properties, when you already have your business of buying and holding real estate and you have and that includes a variety of subsects in my business, but then also the coaching and helping other people. Well, all that takes a lot of time. So you are providing a value by filtering out a lot of these deals that may not make sense for me and then sending it to us. So then we can say, oh yes, we do want to buy that deal. Thank you. We are willing to pay you for that. Right. And the more a bird dog does, or the better the deal is, the more a bird dog gets paid. I made a video on that. It's included in the Wealthy Real Estate School community, what the average pay is for that. But essentially, I want you to understand one key thing, that when someone is buying and holding real estate, they're limited to how much they can pay you. If someone is fix and flipping, they can pay you more because what they're doing is they're getting the property, they're renovating it, and they're selling it. So they're getting money all at once. Someone is buying and holding a rental, they're getting the rental, and then they're making monthly income on that, but it's nothing near the amount that someone's making on a big fix and flip. So there's less amount that could be paid on a buy and hold bird dog as there is a fix and flip bird dog. However, I think the best way to think about it is less. Yes, there's the active income. You need more income, right? I would say, Pace Morgan, my mentor, has highlighted that he pays bird dogs, I think he said up to $10,000 or something like that in a recent training. I tend to pay closer to $5,000 for my buy and hold bird dogs, but Pace is talking about, hey, I'm going to make $100,000 on this fix and flip. I can pay $10,000 to a bird dog because I'm still making $90,000. Well, I can only pay so much because I'm going to make a few $100, maybe $1,000 a month in cash flow. It's not the same amount of money that could be paid towards someone directly because you're not making nearly as much money on a buy and hold rental. However, if your goal is to just maximize income immediately, go the fix and flip bird dog route. Find some really good fix and flippers. They tend to be able to do less deals. However, they can potentially pay you more because they're basing it on the equity. How much are they going to be able to sell the property and like what's their profit? They can have more to pay you as opposed to me as a buy and hold investor who's doing it for the cash flow. However, if this is a stepping stone for you to become a really great buy and hold investor, bird dogging cash deals to fix and flippers is not going to develop the same skills that you need to then learn how you can be a buy and hold investor. That's why I really recommend people to be a bird dog for buy and hold. If your goal is to become financially free through passive income, through real estate investing, you need to understand how to find great buy and hold deals and ideally raise money for those deals or self-fund them, but you need to fund those deals. Well, if you are finding these deals and then getting them to an end buyer as a bird dog and getting paid for that, you're not only making money, you're also learning. When you decide to not do this for an end buyer, you do it for yourself, you're developing that skill set already, how to be a solid end buyer for these deals because you know the types of deals that they want. If you're doing that for fix and flip, maybe you'll make more money, but you're also wasting time and energy that can go towards a skill that you need to then find these deals, analyze them, and then be able to buy them. And then understand that if you just sent me this deal and say, hey, this deal might make sense for you, that's like the least amount of effort that you can put in, right? It's like, here's this deal. Let me know if it makes sense for you. That's the least amount of effort you can put in. If you go through and say, hey, this is a deal. I'm going on the PadSplit platform. I'm going to share the PadSplit platform. We're on the PadSplit platform. We're looking at zip code 33952, Port Charlotte, Florida. So let's go to it. It is a core market, but there's only so many properties here, right? There's only 20 active units, 0 upcoming, but there's a good amount of searches in the last 30 days, way more than there are units. And you got some data for the rents, the occupancy, days first booking. I would say these numbers are off only because there's such few data points. That's the hard part of not fully established markets. But let's see what the zip code was again, 33952. As you zoom in, you can see these. So 33952. Okay, so it's right over here. So we're gonna go back here. You can be terrible at looking at maps and still own a ton of real estate. It's awesome. So Punta Gorda right here in the 41. Okay. Oh, okay. It's up here. That's why. So it's up in this area. Red usually means, oh, there's a big, town center. Okay. I thought this was going to be like hospital. Usually red, not on this, but on regular maps, usually means like hospital or medical, which is good. So they have literally no data in this market. That'd be then up to either you can go look up this data, right? You can go look on Zillow for rent by the room and see roughly what it rents for. There's a variety of other tools as well. I have trainings on that. We don't need to go into the weeds right now, but that is essentially what you're doing. You're saying, hey, buyer, I found this deal. I know it's not my deal under contract. I found this deal and I am bringing it to you because I think this would be a good fit for you, potentially. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. You just copy paste the information. You just email it. Or for me, right, you submit it in here. If you want me to be able to share it, not just for me, you want me to be able to share it with a lot of buyers, just submit the deal. What type of property, on or off market? Is this property within 30 miles of a core PadSplit market? So we have all that data here. And then you just fill out this information, right? If you want me to be able to share it with a lot of people, this is the way for me to do it. If you don't want me to share it with a lot of people, well, you just email it to me and it's less likely to get seen, or maybe it doesn't make sense for me to buy at this time because we all have different standards and different markets that we're buying in. But you would just take this information, you'd share it, and that's what you'd say, hey, this is what I want to do. If you spend the time to analyze it and say, hey, this is a core PadSplit market, I've analyzed it myself, that's how you end up getting paid on the higher end of the spectrum as a bird dog. Even at times I've given bird dogs ownership because of the amount of effort that they've done. Usually it takes a couple deals to then get to that point that like, hey, let's continue doing deals together. Let's look at another deal. And I'll just show you that process again, which is another property. So Carlton, Georgia, it seems small. San Antonio is a great example. This one might have an HOA. All right, so at least on this platform, you can omit those with HOA. You can actually just do this even easier. So you can go, we won't worry about the interest rate. So no HOA, 3, 4, 5 beds, 2, 3, 4, 5 beds, and over 1,500. See if there's one that I like. Not a Missouri guy. Gainesville's okay. Let's get rid of seller carryback. So seller carryback is a mortgage method. We're gonna get rid of that because you need to get new financing for that. So we'll just get rid of that. And the idea is not to like, you need this one specific platform. It's that you need to find these deals wherever you're looking at deals. So they're all over a bunch of Facebook groups. Oh, cool. This will be useful. So they have really great photos. At least I can get an idea. 3-bed, 2-bath, 2184 square feet, built 1985, no HOA. The interest is a little bit higher, 5.75, but it's not terrible, right? That's why in the buy box is preferred, but not like that's the requirement. All right. So let's see this one. This is 70127. Let's check this one out on the PadSplit. So this is the PadSplit. If you do not have PadSplit, this is gonna be impossible for you to do. If you're trying to be a bird dog, they ask me all the time, how do I bird dog for you? How do I bird dog for you? I'm buying co-living properties. I'm buying co-living properties that are in core PadSplit markets. Well, if you don't have the number one tool that PadSplit provides to literally get this data, well, how are you gonna know? You can look on their website without ever signing up, I guess. That's the route you can go. I'll show you exactly what that looks like, right? I gave you that map in the buy box of what their core markets are, but you're just making your life harder by not just signing up for their free tool to then be able to see what their markets are. But if you go, okay, so if you just go to passway.com, you can see a lot of their core markets here, but it's a lot tougher if you don't have the host tools. So that's why I gave you that link to get the host tools. I'm dropping that in there so that you can leverage these host tools. All right, we said this property is 70127. Sometimes when you choose a market, it like gets kind of wonky. Yeah. Okay, perfect. New Orleans is a core market. All right, let me Google 70127. Zip code. I just go to maps. So that's right here. It actually highlighted it darker blue. So they have 127 active units right now. 0 upcoming, so they have no new ones currently in the pipeline. 48 searches in the past 30 days, so they have a lot of tenants searching for co-living rentals to live in. These are tenants versus how many they have. Great, that's already a good start. Weekly room prices, 176 for a shared bath, 268 for a private bath. Average occupancy, first day, 7 days to first booking, 20 days to 80%. Awesome. And just to highlight, so they're gray is these are emerging markets. They know they're going to have properties in the future, but they don't have them now. You can see that New Orleans is opening up. And if you don't select a zip code, so like if you go to this broad, it's pretty nice because if you don't select a zip code, oh, this is all of New Orleans. I'm sorry. So this zip code only has 8 active, 178 with shared bathroom. That's probably one property that's fully rented out. But that's too little data right here. So you can look at other ones around it or use the overall data. Just understand that depending on the location, it's going to rent faster, rent for more, depending on how close it is to key amenities, right? Like the closer you are to certain key features, the more people are going to want to live there. This one's really bad, but there's such few units. This is why I don't like to operate in markets that are not already like well established. I am risk averse in the sense of, yes, I have a ton of debt. I bought a lot of real estate in a short amount of time. Awesome. However, I don't like to be the first to do anything in a market. I don't want to do things based on a lack of data. I want enough data to then be able to make an informed decision on what I'm doing. So when you're operating in a market that's still really new, I'm not the guy for that. Some people are cool with that. That for my risk tolerance, that's not it. This is not enough. That's why the majority of mine are in Atlanta, literally their core market. Various parts of Florida, core markets. Charlotte is newer, but it's a sober living home, so it's different. Co-living, but it's sober living home, it's different. It's a nonprofit who rented it out. So basically, you take all this information, you share it, and what you're doing as a bird dog is you're saying, hey, Michael, I know that you want to buy this deal. Here's the deal. Here's some of the stuff that I've done. The more that you analyze, the more that you look at it. Like the best bird dogs, the ones that get paid the most and get the most equity or ownership opportunities as well, are those that actually analyze the deals as well. Now we combine everything I just talked about, right? This is when you go into the super investors community, right? I provide you free trainings on deal analysis. You go to the wealth to real estate free community, not super investors, paid community. You go to you learn deal analysis, and there will be more on bird dogging coming out over the next several weeks on then how you can be better and how you can analyze. And the more that you do, the more that you provide. You grab your copy of the free calculator right here. There's going to be a new version on here that's going to also allow you to do co-living. You share these things with the end buyers right after you connect with end buyers. And what I will do to make your lives easier is, in addition to just getting these deals and sharing them with super investors, I will make some way, just like my mentor Pace is doing for Owners Club, I will have a way for super investors who are actual buyers for co-living rentals to be able to, you can like find out who they are very easily, what their buy box is, so you can directly bird dog for them as individually, right? So that'll make your lives a lot easier. Let's get to the questions now, because that was a lot. So what is bird dogging, right? Very simply, you are getting a deal and you're connecting it with an end buyer, because a seller needs a buyer for the deal to function, right? The bird dog is the intermediary between a seller and a buyer. Sometimes there's a wholesaler, goes seller, wholesaler, or real estate agent, then bird dog, and then buyer, right? What you're doing, the value you're providing as the bird dog is that you are saying, hey, I know this is your buy box. I know this is the market you're looking to invest in. These are the types of properties you're looking for. Hey, buyer, here you go. The more effort that you put in, the more you analyze the deal, the more research that you do on it, not just say, hey, here's a deal that hits your minimum criteria, but the more research that you do on it, the more you are to get paid on those deals. That's going to depend on your individual buyers. But for me, on buy and hold investments, it's around $5,000 for a deal if you've done some level of analysis on it. And it's lower thousands depending on how good, and it all depends on how good the deal is. The better the deal is, the more I can financially pay. If the deal doesn't justify it and paying you makes it a no deal, well, we got to figure something out there. That's maybe some of the ownership. That's some of the, hey, the more work that you put in, like that's how it's all figured out in the back end. If you're working with fix and flippers, that's great because they then have a sale, a profit that's going to come from it. They can pay you more as a result of that. They'll just pay you in advance for that, but then you're not learning the key lessons necessary to then be able to become your own buy and hold investor, right? I think the majority of people that follow me is you want passive income to be able to cover all of your expenses so you can live the rest of your life without having to worry about active income, without having to worry about a job, right? You don't have to worry about how you're making ends meet, how you're paying your bills. So if that's going to be the case, you need to own assets. Whether you have money in the stock market, which I do, whether you lend money out, your own money to other investors, which I do as well, or you are buying and holding real estate that is generating cash flow towards your financial freedom, it's paying you monthly. You're also getting the wealth benefits. You're getting the debt pay down. Properties are getting paid down, and like your tenants are paying you rent. Your rent is going to pay down your debt. You keep the rest of it. That's your cash flow. Their rent is paying on the mortgage, is paying on your debt. Property appreciates and increases in value over a decent amount of time. Properties have always gone up in value. And you're also getting tax benefits as the owner, which for some, it doesn't make a huge difference. For me, it's awesome to get all the tax benefits from real estate investing. But that's where the majority of people want to be buy and hold investors. They just spend a lot of their time thinking that they have to struggle and wholesale or fix and flip before they deserve to become a buy and hold investor. But that's not actually the case. Like you can literally just be a buy and hold investor from the beginning, which is what I did. I was a buy and hold investor, bought multiple properties before I got into wholesaling. And then I was actually a bird dog. That's why I'm such a big advocate for bird dogging. I was going directly to sellers and agents. Yes. However, I always started with the buyers in mind. Hey, buyer, you're a serious buyer in this market. So that's the first thing. You don't want to waste your time on tire kickers, people who say, hey, go do this thing. And yes, I'll work with you and I'll pay you and whatever. Like that's not, a lot of people just, I don't know why they do it. They waste a lot of everyone's time by saying, hey, I go do it and I promise we'll do something together. So go with people who have already proven themselves, who have already bought deals or who are actively invested and committed to buying and holding deals, have a clear buy box, and then can support you, understand deal analysis, have a plan for how they're going to fund those deals, whatever. So vet the people that you're working with so that it makes sense for both ends, because you don't want to waste all this time and energy on one buyer that then flakes out. That's where, honestly, I'm a little biased to me. If you then submit it into my deal form that you saw on my Instagram, right? Just real quickly showing you guys again. You go through this form and you fill it out. Then it's not just me who's solely looking at it. You're sending this to 70 other co-living real estate investors. So my buy box, which is very similar to the majority of my super investors, this is literally helping you get this deal in front of more people, getting you more deals done with less effort. I'm all about leverage and efficiency. So you can do something that is less effort for a higher likelihood of success. I mean, that's the cheat code, right? That's why I talk about the Super Investor Blueprint a lot. Not in this training. I've done plenty of videos on that. Please go like and subscribe to my YouTube, whatever. I don't care what you do, but go and watch those videos so that you can actually benefit from that. But if you're able to submit one form that then sends the deal to 70 plus investors, and we're going to get a bunch more super investors in your future. So once again, if you are someone that is serious about scaling your portfolio to financial freedom, you want to leverage more advanced strategies, and you want that step-by-step guidance, education, tools, resources, everything I've done to scale my portfolio, that is super investors. There's no funnel or anything right now, right? So just message me. Let me know if that's the right fit for you. DM me on Instagram. Make sure you're following me first. Otherwise, it's going to go to my spam and that's going to kind of screw you. But if that is something that you want to do, reach out to me. But then you're getting these deals to a bunch of super investors. So they're more likely to then buy these deals, right? There's a higher likelihood because more people are seeing these deals. Then you get a higher likelihood of A, working with proven buyers, A, getting your deals that you're bird dogging actually purchase. So then you're actually making money. You don't make money, right? That's why I tell sellers all the time, like no one's making money until the buyer buys. And I may not be the buyer for it, but unless I'm buying and funding this deal, no one's making money. So let's get this deal done so that everyone that can make the money, whether it's the seller, maybe they have an agent, and then there's a wholesaler involved and a bird dog and me as the buyer. And then my tenants, like that's after, right after I own it. But like, unless all this is done, no one here is getting paid. Doesn't mean I have to be the buyer, but they need a buyer for them to make money on this deal. So we're connecting all those dots. A bird dog is an integral piece because as a buyer continues to scale or a buyer doesn't have as much time, but they're good at raising money and all that other stuff or deal analysis and understanding what their portfolio is, like what they're planning on building a portfolio through. A bird dog is this valuable resource that helps make the buyer more efficient, give them more leverage. That's why they're willing to pay. I think that's a mindset issue for a lot of people, which I don't understand at the time, because I always thought if I'm finding a great deal and presenting it to someone who I know they want to buy this very specific deal, of course I'm finding them a massive value. I think a lot of people think, well, that's weird. Like I'm going to get paid, but I'm not the wholesaler. I'm not the seller. I'm going to get paid for just connecting with someone. Yes. Like that's literally what a bird dog does. And this is why you are allowing them to leverage their time as a buyer more efficiently, raising more money, focusing on their operations. You're helping provide this valuable resource of deals that fit within their buy box, or at least filter out a lot of the deals that don't fit within their buy box. You just saw me do right on that platform. Essentially, we're filtering out too small. It's not the right market, whatever it is. You're helping filter that out so that now they can focus on the deals that do make sense, making them more likely to be able to buy more deals, which then allows them to pay you as the bird dog, right? So it's this mutual symbiotic relationship. I think it's so important to be a bird dog for buy and hold investors, not just fix and flippers. Do that. If you're absolutely focused on you need some money immediately, go that route. That would probably make you more money, maybe even more quickly. However, if you're really serious about becoming a buy and hold real estate investor yourself, what better way to then learn the process from actual buyers, learn how they analyze, learn what deals they want, get that feedback from them, and make money along that journey to then once you decide, hey, I've made a bunch of money. Maybe you do 5, 10, I don't know, however many bird dog deals you do. You do however many you feel comfortable, you feel confident, you developed your skills, you made some money. Now you say, okay, I'm turning off the switch. I'm not bird dogging for some other people. Now I'm essentially a bird dog for myself. Or then you train a bird dog to then be a bird dog for you. That's why I think a bird dog for buy and hold investing is so key, because it's the number one skill you can learn is, okay, well, I know how to find deals. I know how to analyze them and make sure they are good deals for a buyer. I know these are deals a buyer wants and that they got funding for it, right? Because once again, if they don't get the funding, then the deal isn't done. You don't get paid. So you're going to learn very quickly which buyers are serious, the funding process, like which deals are good, right? People might say yes and they can't perform. You're going to learn all that through this with literally no money out of pocket. To bird dog costs you literally nothing. If you want, you leverage tools, right? A couple tools that I use, like I use PropStream. I have a bunch of links and stuff for you guys if you want free trials. I can post it, whatever. Most people have PropStream. I know people like Deal Sauce in the sub 2 world. I've been using PropStream for so long, so I can't say whether or not, like I just haven't used Deal Sauce. So once I play around with it, talk to my friend Justin about it a little bit more, I'll have a much better idea. But if you want a free trial to then leverage PropStream and see if it helps you with your analysis a little bit, if you need tools like that I provide in the Wealth Through Real Estate school community, the calculator and things like that, the cheat sheet of what information you need for deal analysis, I literally provide you that. You need your pad split, right? If you're focused on doing it for CoLiving, which a lot of people that are following me are like on these channels with me, you know, for the 20, 30 plus of you guys live, and then the 50 to 100 plus trying to be influencer. I could care less. Trying to help as many people on their path to financial freedom as possible. And unfortunately, I won't know the majority of people that I impact because most people don't come back and tell you, oh, thank you, Eugene. But just as long as I know that I'm having some little ripple effect to help you on your journey to financial freedom, that's all I care about. Even if I don't ever learn after the fact or get recognition or whatever, I don't really care. I just want to help other people on their journey because I think there's nothing more miserable. Sorry for my older investors out there or just kind of coming to this game now. Like, I think there's nothing more miserable, or for me, more of a nightmare than working 40 plus years for someone else, to build someone else's dream, to help them buy their boat, to help them buy whatever. That sounds terrible. So the sooner and faster you can be able to invest in yourself and your own business and learn how to invest in assets that then generate you passive or even semi-passive income, and they cover all your expenses, like that is truly where life is the most incredible. And I made this post in my story, and this one really resonated. It was nothing crazy, which is really funny, but just I guess the timing of it is be able to invest in yourself and your own business and learn how to. So I don't know how that's going to work. All right, whatever. Go on my Instagram, look at the story. That's the key thing there. Go look at it. But really, guys, when I say I don't really care about real estate, I don't. I don't have this like love for houses or anything. For me, as someone who was doing it the stock market route, like for me, I was going to be financially free forever because I was not going to work forever for someone else. I was not going to be away from my family. I was not going to request PTO, take time off. I'm not going to ask that from someone. I'm not going to be forced back into work, which they tried to do. That's why I actually finally pulled the trigger and got out of my job. Like they literally, my baby was born within 3 months. They said, hey, we need you back in the office, even at a higher frequency. That's psychotic. For me, there's nothing more important than family. So for me, it made no freaking sense for me to then, especially because I've been investing and have my passive income streams and all that good stuff, it made no sense to then continue working like that and then be told I could or could not do something. As an adult, as a human being, at a certain point, in my opinion, right, that 99% don't agree with this. 99% should continue working for other people. It's safe, it's comfortable, right? Just do that. For the majority of people, do that. You're not watching this thing on YouTube. You're not watching this on Instagram. You're not learning deal analysis. You're not paying for mentorships and educations and tools and calculators and all that because you want to work for someone else for the rest of your freaking life. Like I know that. That's why you're here, right? You're literally not wasting your time being here just for fun. There's plenty more people that are way more fun and enjoyable and do dumb things or whatever they show on their channels. You're here to learn so that you can invest in yourself. You're going to start with investing time, maybe some money in yourself, to then be able to be on that path to financial freedom. For me, I was going to do the stock market route. I think the majority of people, that's awesome. It just took too long. I didn't want to wait 40 plus years to have $3 million. When I really sat there and realized, okay, well, you can't save your way. No matter how much money you make, it's virtually impossible to save your way towards financial freedom. Okay, we can invest in stocks. That's great, but you have to have money to invest in stocks, and that takes a long time. You can save your money and get higher returns by lending to other people. That's great too, right? You're going to get higher returns and you have more control over it. But once again, you still don't have money to be able to do so. You can leverage other people's money and all that. Yes, but now you're putting other people's money at risk, whatever. That's up to you, whatever you want to do in that route. I don't like to connect money unless I have some ownership in the investments, because then I can come in and solve the problem. But that's a whole other thing, right? So for me, real estate was the fastest route to get there with the most amount of control. Because if I'm using other people's money, I've raised all the money by my real estate portfolio. So if I'm using other people's money, I want to make sure I have control to then be able to solve the problems that come in if something comes up with real estate. I'm using other people's money. I want to make sure that I can use their money as effectively as possible. It doesn't always work out perfectly, right? It's real estate investing. However, I can at least control the situation. And most importantly, you're controlling what you're buying. You're controlling the markets you're buying and the strategies that you're using, the numbers that you're analyzing with. You're controlling this whole process before you even make the investment decision. Once you own that property, now you control what you're going to do with it afterwards. Not like the stock market, it just goes down, or you lend to someone, you have no part of it, you connect money to someone else's deal. I've lost well over 6 figures lending incorrectly because I had the money that I took from my stocks, put it into self-directed IRA and said, oh, I'm going to start lending without even fully understanding what I was doing as a lender, because I thought, okay, that's the next step. I'm a buy and hold investor right now. I'm going to lend money out without fully understanding who I was lending to and allowing reputation, all that stuff. Please do your due diligence as a lender, right? But okay, so real estate investing, buy and hold real estate investing, you're doing all this stuff. I think that's the goal for the majority of people. You're doing all this because you want to be financially free. Real estate, in my opinion, is the best vehicle. And then when you leverage it, when you leverage things like creative financing, you're getting there faster and you're getting better deals. You're leveraging capital raising, you're getting there faster because you're using other people's money and providing them solid investment returns, right? You're not using anything. You're providing someone a great investment opportunity in your deals, right? That is what you are doing. And then co-living, because you get there faster. You get there faster because you're able to buy bigger properties that are in better markets, that get better ownership and appreciation benefits, and you get higher cash flow because of the co-living model. And the bigger the property, the larger the debt, the larger the property, the more tax benefits. So it just makes the most sense, in my opinion. That's why I've got this super investor blueprint: creative financing, capital raising, co-living. It's not like it's through trial and error, it's through figuring things out. I wish if I started this process before the last 18 months, it would have been even faster. My 5-year journey would be even quicker with even better results and better returns. I would not need 60, 70 plus properties that I have now, which I'm slowly selling off properties that no longer make sense for my portfolio, just like every good real estate investor should do, right? Once you adjust and whatever, you should identify what deals make sense for you or not, and then move on from those that don't. However, if I was able to do the things that I teach to my super investors from the very beginning, which obviously you can't because I had to learn it, I had to pay tons of money to learn it, implement it, trial and error, figure things out, and then do it. Like, that's why I focus on the super investor blueprint. That's why I teach that. And that's where bird dogging is such an essential component of it all. Because what a bird dog is then doing is you're developing the right skills for the buyers that you want to be like, the buyers that deals that you want to do like them. That is why it's so important. Not only are you making money, you're learning the skill along this process, and it's literally costing you no money to do so. And then on top of that, what you're doing is at some point you're going to say, okay, well, I'm done bird dogging. I feel confident I can buy these deals now, or you can partner with someone on these deals. However you want to do it, you're developing the right skill to then, you only need money and deals to buy real estate. Deals and money, deals, money. So if you're already figuring out one of the key components, how to find great deals that buyers want, great. Now you do that for yourself. Either you start raising money to then do this 100% yourself, or you partner with someone who's raising the money or has the money. And now what you're doing is you guys are owning that thing together instead of just making a bird dog fee, right? That's why I think it's so logical, so important for people to go this route of bird dogging, especially for buy and hold investors. If you want to be a buy and hold investor, if you just need 5, 10, 20, 50K as quickly as possible for whatever you're in debt or you can't make ends meet, maybe focus on fix and flip investors, maybe focus on maybe even wholesaling, but wholesaling costs a lot of money, takes time, and most people can't do it unless they're consistent and do it for a long enough period of time. However, that's the play there, but it's not going to help you necessarily on your path to financial freedom just as much as doing it for buy and hold investors will. So what is bird dogging? I explained it 5 different times, probably 10 different ways. How did I become a bird dog for you? I literally showed you how. Go on my Instagram, click the link tree, click my buy box. It shows you exactly what types of deals I'm buying in there and how you can submit those deals. Not only are you submitting it to me, you're submitting it to the whole community of super investors who then are even more people willing to buy your deals. And then my buy box, it's all there. And how much do I pay? Presented all of that. So Jeff, what website am I using for the sub 2 deals? So it's a combination of things. Almost all of my deals come from wholesalers. The number one place to get deals that are creatively financed from wholesalers are sub 2 if you're in it, right? The Facebook group is the number one way. Pace just dropped this bombshell announcement, and ironically, bombshell to the world. We've talked about this before, but basically he's thinking about creating a platform which all these creative deals can be posted all at once, like a Zillow for creative deals. It'd be freaking amazing. I might be part of the committee helping with that. Stoked for that. But sub two right now, people are posting these deals. You're connecting with wholesalers, you're connecting with individuals who are posting deals regularly or just on one-offs. But the sub two community, there's a free Facebook group, Creative Real Estate with Pace Morby group. There's like dozens of other real estate investment groups. What you saw was the Super Deals database. It's basically me taking some deals with various wholesalers, putting them into a website, a platform for our super investors community, for them to be able to find these deals more straightforward. Like, so it's me working with wholesalers. They put the deals and then that's presented to the super investors and myself, essentially. So it's an easier way to buy those deals. That's a super investor tool. However, I can ask the super investors, I will poll the super investors and see, should we open this up to every single person in my world, everyone, free wealth, the real estate community, everything, everywhere. So you guys can also have a more easy route for bird dogging. And I'll ask them, instead of making it an exclusive superpower, a super tool for the super investors, I can see if they think it'd be beneficial instead to provide it to everyone so you guys can help bird dog these deals for super investors. Obviously, you can just go and buy these deals yourself if you want as well. However, maybe we'll do some combination of the two. Maybe we'll do the Orbit program. So if you're in sub two, you understand Orbit. Basically, you are learning from me. You're part of my Orbit. You're part of our system, and maybe we'll get a handful. I've had dozens and dozens of people reach out to me. How do I bird dog for you? How do I bird dog for you? Well, this is a great start. I made this video for you guys. The Wealth of Real Estate community, there's gonna be more built out trainings, a lot of stuff like this, but more systematic step by step. And maybe those that follow through with all the trainings, I will then allow maybe a handful of people who are serious about taking action. What I hate doing is trying to help people individually who then never take action. Because I don't know what the hell it is with certain people that then take a bunch of your time, that then don't take action, which then that time, I don't know why they do it to themselves. They can go enjoy their life instead of asking for things that they never take action on. But at that time, I could have spent focusing on my business, my family, fun things. I could have done literally anything with that time, but they asked me for help. I gave them my help and they don't take action. It's like, well, why did I give you my time if you're not going to take action to then do the things that you're asking for help with? That's where I created the free wealth, the real estate community, all that, so I can help as many people as possible without a lot of one-on-one time. So that's what super investors for, more that one-on-one time. But I'll provide a lot of trainings, and then people who follow through with the trainings will then be authorized to then maybe complete an Orbit form, and then you could actually be part of a collective bird dog team. Maybe that's the route I'll go. I don't know. I'm figuring all this out. The cool part is you guys get to be part of the journey and do a lot of this stuff together. So stay in the loop. If you're not in Wealth to Real Estate, I'm gonna drop the link one more time. You are literally missing out. Chris asked, when I say only creative, do I mean sub two and seller finance? Primarily. When I say creative finance, I'm talking about subject to deals, seller finance deals, and hybrid. So it's the combination of the two. And one thing I want to show you guys, it's literally actually insane. For anyone who's still on, I'm going to show you the new creative finance calculator I just put out for the super investors community. And I want you guys to see what it's going to look like, because even the free version is going to have a lot of these components. The biggest difference for the paid one is you are going to be able to really quickly and easily understand capital raising and like longer term analysis on that. So this is the last thing. So we'll do more questions next week, but this thing is so crazy cool. So a lot of it's similar. Fundamentally, it's structurally the same. But if you say, hey, I want to buy this creatively financed deal, let's say, so it's a hybrid creative deal, right? So it's subject to and seller finance, right? So it accounts for subject to, seller finance. I want to do just subject to. Well, there you go. It's just going to be a subject to calculator. Just seller finance, it's just a seller finance calculator. I'm going traditional route, right? I'm not just doing creative. Oh, I'm going to go traditional. I'm going to go find a property that I think makes sense and buy it traditionally through a new loan or cash. All this will be automatically filtered and black out the areas and zero out the things that make no sense. I know that's one key feature that people have asked for to make it easier for them to analyze. But if I have a really robust, strong calculator that can do a lot of things, well, it's important that it needs to be able to account for all these inputs for the various strategies, so to put it all in one place. But then this is a way I've been able to clean it up. And then secondarily, we zoom out. There's going to be a lot of zoom out. You're going to be able to analyze long-term rentals, co-living rentals, midterm rentals, and short-term rentals all in one tool. For everyone who's already paid for the super deal calculator or whatever we call it, you'll already get access to this. If you have not, then you'll have to pay for the paid version. The free version I'm going to give out. It's going to allow for all this stuff anyway. Not some of this various offer scenarios. So it helps you with instantly renegotiate deals or the other people's money, the capital raising component. Sorry, that's for my super investors and the paid creative calculator guys. Long-term analysis, PML analysis, private money partner analysis, all that stuff. That's not the focus of this. The focus is going to be the deal analysis piece. So with all that being said, I just want to say really cool, new, awesome calculators dropping. Excited to get it to everyone. Whether you're going free route or paid route, you're going to get access to a version of this new one. It's going to be freaking epic.